Hey everybody, it's Keith. Welcome to Wednesdays in Bed with Keith. So today I wanted to take a moment to talk about knowledge. And knowledge, in my estimation, is power, right? Like we know that saying, knowledge is power. And I sort of live by that. And in doing so, I didn't go to college. And I ended up working with people daily. And the thing about that is, you get into these conversations, right? And everybody has something to offer. And I feel like even though I didn't go to college where I would have gotten the book knowledge education, I learned so much about day-to-day living and about things that are really useful as we go through life. So I feel like I did get a really wonderful education in choosing my career. Now, with that said, as a kid, I would just pour through the World Book Encyclopedia. Like that was my go-to. That was my Google, if you will. And today, when I talk to the younger people who I work with, or even young kids, they're all like, "Huh? The what? You did what? You turned pages? Like there were actual pages that you turned?" And it's just like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just an ancient, old, archaic dinosaur. And that's okay, too, because you know what? The World Book served me well. I learned a lot of information. I could be on Jeopardy. No lie. The 1960s version of Jeopardy, but Jeopardy nonetheless. So anyway, I'm a little bit obsolete. But one day, when I was homesick from work, I was kind of bored and I was looking for my World Book. And now my World Book, as we all know, is Google. So I grabbed my iPad and I was Googling and I wanted to look up pies. So I typed in best pie. And we all know that when you type certain things in, like it isn't exactly what comes up. Like it's not what you're really looking for. And the next thing you know, you're like on all these porn sites and you're getting text messages from them and subscriptions and so on and so forth. So anyway, I type in best pie. And lo and behold, it brings me to how to give a woman the best orgasm. Now, I have no use for this. This is no information that's going to benefit me in any way. Well, I mean, if I ever decided to switch teams, it could come in a little bit handy, but I was curious because my mind is always curious and I just want to know because inquiring minds want to know, right? So I go to it and it's essentially like 10 basically straight porn stars who are giving their sort of take on it and their techniques. And there's like a lot of hand movement and there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. And they all had like little diagrams and bullet points and so on and so forth. It was very professional, for what it was. I mean, So anyway, I am just dying, right? Because now I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, oh my God, it's so much more than I thought it was. Like, with a guy, it's, pretty straightforward. I mean, technique, yes, but basically the part is there and but with a woman, totally different. Anyway, it was fascinating to me. Fascinating. So I couldn't wait to get better, to go back to work, to have this conversation with my clients. And so I go in and, I start to cut them, and men, women, doesn't really matter. I'm like, hey, you want to hear something interesting? I learned something while I was out sick. And they're like, really, what? And I say, well, I learned how to give a woman the perfect orgasm. And immediately, like, all the guys were like, huh? And all the women were like, really? Tell me. So I proceed to tell them, and I told them about the diagrams and everything. And they're just like, really? Oh my God, that's so interesting. So anyway, I finished out my week, and then all of a sudden, like, the texts start coming in, right? Hey, could you give me that site? Hey, could you give me that site? Men, hey, could you give me that site? And I was just like, oh my God, this weekend is going to be the weekend of a lot of happy women in Woodbridge. Like, that's all I'm saying. And in New Haven County. Like, so anyway, I was just sitting there cracking up to myself because there's just so much that we don't know, right? But it's right there at our fingertips. So I guess what I'm trying to say is never say never. Like, you could be nobody one day, and then the very next day, through the magic of Google, you are the Dalai Lama